OMG's boys, girls in between, it's how you doing? It's Red Gambit here, and it is Friday night. I've just gotten home from work, and I am just absolutely stoked to find out about the new Street Fighter V trailer, the System Mechanics trailer. It's fresh out today. It's in the lead up to E3, where it's going to be playable at E3, and so Capcom are spruiking it, they're showing it off, they're telling us what's going to be new, what's going to be different, and honestly, I'm excited about it. This is the first time I've ever really been excited about a Street Fighter game in a long time, since Ultra was announced. You know, I've obviously covered this game on the channel before. I've shown off trailers, I've shown off the M. Bison breakdown, things like that, and this is the first time though that I've really just been excited and eager to see the game and get my hands on it and play it, because now that we actually know what's going to be different, what's being taken away from Street Fighter 4, what's being added in, what's being added in from Street Fighter 3 of all places. So it's very interesting, it's exciting times. I'm really looking forward to going through this with you guys. The trailer is straight ahead. Check it out if you haven't already, and I'll be back afterwards to talk about what's new, what's different, what's going to be great, and what's hopefully not going to suck. So check it out, and I'll see you guys very soon. Holy crap, wasn't that just something else? I mean, I'm going to be doing basically kind of my impressions of the trailer and combining it with some of the news that I've seen, especially around event hubs and Shuriken.com, things like that, just regarding what we know about the game now that we have this trailer in our hands, we have people actually playing the game and being able to confirm things for us. The biggest thing that I noticed about the trailer just straight off the bat is the way that it looks. I mean, graphically, it hasn't really changed much since the last trailer that we saw with Bison, but I mean, the actual animations of the characters just look so much better now. The game, they move differently, Ryu moves quite differently, the game speed seems to be moving faster. It just seems like a different game overall to what we've seen so far in demos and playtests that have been shown off at Capcom Cup events and things like that. So let's go over some of the new things that we know about Street Fighter V. Now, first and foremost, you're going to see some new things that are up on there on the screen. Below the health bars at the top, you see there actually is now a stun gauge. which is something that we've not seen since Street Fighter 3, and that's going to be a point that I'm going to be raising quite a bit through this little overview, because it would seem like to me Capcom have been going back to Street Fighter 3 for a lot of what we're seeing here, and that's not a bad thing, because as everyone knows, Street Fighter 3 is considered to be the best entry in the series to date. It's considered by many to be the best fighting game of all time. So considering that Capcom really needs some wins on their board in terms of being able to get sales out the door, being able to get some money into the company, things like that, it's not at all surprising that they're really trying to placate the fans by going back to what is known to be the most beloved of all the entire series. Probably the next and most interesting thing that you'll see there is that V-Trigger and V-Skill are the game's primary new mechanics. The reason for that is that this iteration of Street Fighter has completely done away with ultras and focus attacks, which it kind of blows my mind really, because Street Fighter 4 is my primary Street Fighter. I have played the other ones. I started out on Street Fighter 2, way back in the day, back on the Super Nintendo and whatnot. But taking away the ultras and the focus attacks is just a very big step away from Street Fighter 4, and I think that's largely to do with the fact that Street Fighter 4 is considered, as I've said before, to be a very defensive-oriented game. It's a game which rewards slow, patient play, it rewards death by 1,000 cuts. It does not reward you being particularly aggressive unless you're playing a character which is just built on aggression completely. Now, getting into the V skills, they can be used freely and without any meter cost to the V-skill meter whatsoever. So characters like Ryu now get a third strike style parry, which is just, again, incredible. It's going back to that Street Fighter 3 ethos, that mentality, and I fucking love that. I think that's great. I would actually love it if all the characters had a parry. And who knows, maybe they will. Maybe that'll be the feedback that they get. But at the moment, it's just Ryu who has the parry, and that's his ability that can be activated from the V-skill. It's just used, all the characters, it's the same thing. They just all press medium punch, medium kick to activate their V-skills. Similarly, Bison's V-skill allows him to perform the Psycho Reflect that we saw back in the Bison Breakdown trailer that I posted on my channel. It actually does send projectiles flying back at the opponent at double the speed, which is, again, it's an interesting change, because I think from the impression that we're seeing here, and actually kind of rings true with what I was saying in my impressions video, that it looks like Bison's designed to be played up a lot more aggressively than he has been in previous versions of the game. But here it looks like they're going for something entirely different, which I fucking love that. I really do. I think this whole game looks like it's built to be more aggressive, which I'll get into probably as I sum this up, but it looks like it's just, yeah, I'm digging it. I really am. Moving on to the V-Trigger. The V-Trigger is designed to give each fighter a unique style of play. We've seen this before in previous trailers, where people would activate a particular moveset, if you will. They got a water effect around them, and from there they got their own kind of little effect. Ryu would get lightning around his hands, Chun-Li would get water flying around her, that kind of thing, and that turns out that's actually the V-Trigger. Chun-Li gets to power up her normals in the V-Trigger. It allows her to hit multiple times when in the stage, kind of similar to the idea behind Juri's Feng Shui engine, which gives people more combo opportunities, opening up new ways of playing, things like that. What I find very interesting about the V-Trigger, and especially that state of the V-Trigger itself, is that it's very similar to Killer Instinct's Instinct Gauge, which to me is actually kind of crazy, because Killer Instinct was a game like way back in the day that was clearly very influenced by Street Fighter in terms of the fact that it came out during that big fighting game boom of the early 90s. It was a 6-button fighter, lights, mediums, heavies, for punches and kicks, all that kind of thing. Clearly borrowing a lot from Street Fighter, and now Street Fighter have turned around and taken what is obviously a great idea from Killer Instinct and have now built it into their own game, which, and I'm not against that. I think that, as long as you take the good things from games and not the bad things, that there's really no issue with that. I mean, fighting games by themselves are not an original genre. Every fighting game, is built on just the primary idea of fighting one person against another. Having health bars, having super gauges. These things aren't unique to a particular series. So picking and choosing from other games, I certainly do not have a problem with. Another use for the V-Gauge can also be for the V-Reversals, which is a knockback attack which works just like the Alpha counters from Street Fighter Alpha. Basically, by pressing forward and all 3 punches or kicks depending on which character you're playing, during a block you can send your opponent flying at the cost of some meter. Again, great idea. It allows the game to be fast-paced, it allows it to be a game which shifts momentum back and forth, and it gives you defensive options as well, which I think is fantastic, especially given the fact that they are taking away the focus attack from the game. Moving on to some more general information about the game, we can now talk about things like the fact that throws actually have a longer width animation and you can no longer crouch tech. So for those of you who don't know what crouch teching is, basically it would mean that when you get knocked down or when you're close to your opponent, you could hold down back and press press throw basically. You'd crouch block and press throw, and this is known as crouch teching, because what it would mean is that you can't throw while you're crouching, so you would just press punch and light punch, like kick, and you just do a jab or a kick or whichever option the game prioritized first. However, if your opponent went for a throw, even though you are holding down back, you're pressing the throw input, so it would tech the throw if they in fact went for a throw. So it was a way of actually removing some of the guesswork from being knocked down. Now, to compensate for that, backdashes are now invincible for all the characters, but they are vulnerable to hits. Now, what's really interesting is that, and again, talking about borrowing things from other games, normals will now deal temporary chip damage. What does that remind you of? Mortal Kombat! Mortal Kombat obviously actually just deals chip damage, period. So if you block any kind of normal attack, doesn't matter what attack you block in Mortal Kombat, you will take a small amount of chip damage. In Street Fighter V, you will take a small amount of chip damage as well, but it is grey health, so it will regenerate from what we're hearing here if you actually do not get hit again or block anything else during that period. And lastly, only throws and critical arts will deal hard knockdown, with the exception to, at the moment, Ryu's back throw, and that wake up speed has been greatly increased. Now this to me, again, it speaks to basically what I've been saying all along, that this is a game which is designed to be much faster, much more aggressive, and much more fluid overall, much more exciting than Street Fighter 4. So, you have the fact that, if only throws and critical arts cause hard knockdown, that takes away the option of doing safe jumps a lot of the time. Because people will be able to vary their wake up speed a lot more, so you won't be able to go for that safe attack pressure every single time you get a hard knockdown. Overall, my final impressions from what I'm seeing here are that, as I said, it's a very fast game, it's a very aggressive game. We've been told it's running at the same speed as Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, which is probably the most beloved of the series, right next to Street Fighter 3. And I think this is great because Capcom are really, they've obviously saw a lot of feedback from the community. They've obviously taken on board a lot of what they've learned from Street Fighter 4. And not that Street Fighter 4 is a bad game, it's just not the Street Fighter that a lot of people were looking for after Street Fighter 3. And I think that's what they're trying to create here. So it's fast, it's aggressive, it's exciting. It doesn't reward defensive play. You don't have ultras anymore for that big comeback mechanic, no matter how much damage you take, things like that. It's rewarding people for getting in there, doing damage, and just winning the game, which is what people want to see. It's what's going to make it a great spectator sport at EVO for years to come, hopefully. Anyways, that's it. That's all I have for now. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't already, please like, subscribe, share, use your social currency. Let people know about this stuff because I will be bringing you more Street Fighter V news as it comes to hand. However, in the meantime, I hope you guys have a great day, evening, wherever the hell you are, and I will definitely see you guys very soon.